How is everybody doing today? It is Logan here with the Log Show. I got my camera going on over here. It's not really focusing right now. I hope it'll fix that up in a little bit. I might play with it in a little bit to fix that up. We got my boys. We got Nick over here. We got my boy Sean over here. He's off the camera. We got a big show going on for you today. We're talking a lot. We have All-Star Weekend, which was really fun if you guys tuned in. I know everyone was excited to see my boy Mac McClung go absolutely off in a dunk contest. I don't think anybody saw the G League kid coming. I don't know how you guys felt about that.
Honestly, bro, I'm as shocked as everybody else is, to be honest, because after that backboard, we were just talking about it before when he tapped it.
Yeah,
off the
when he tapped it
and
off the
then reverse
backboard,
dunked it
oh
after
my
jumping over two
God.
people,
That was
bro.
crazy. Oh, yeah, and he did the dunk where he jumped over two people.
Bro.
That was crazy.
After that, it was over.
We got a little Knicks representation in the dunk contest too with Jericho Sims, who definitely disappointed. I won't be the first one to say that, and I will not be the last. He was kind of disappointing. XFL also started this weekend. I didn't catch much of it, but I did catch a lot of highlights. And from what I did catch from the rule changes, we'll definitely be talking that compared to the NFL, what I really think, how I just feel about that league in general, being such a big football fan that I am. Not only that, we will talk a little NFL. I know the season's over. You guys thought I was done with it, but there's no way. There's NFL news all year, baby. Tag window, the franchise tag window opens up today. That'll be a lot of news. What's happening with Lamar Jackson specifically? We got that going. Not only that, coaching rumors, coaching hires, big coaches leaving. A lot of stuff going on in the NFL. We got Bieniemy, who's going, or Bieniemy leaving, stuff like that. We got the NBA, like I said, All-Star Weekend, and the Knicks come up after All-Star Weekend. Their first game is Friday, so we'll be talking about the Knicks a little bit. And also, with a lot of movement going on in the NBA, we're definitely going to be talking about that. I know I've already talked about the KD and Kyrie movements, but besides that, a lot of other movements since I've talked about those. So we'll definitely be talking about that. I finally was able to tune into an NHL game last night, and I can't wait to talk about that. And then later on this show, to finish off our quick opening recap, I will be talking this weekend's UFC 285 with the return of the Johnny Bones Jones fighting Cyril Gahn for the heavyweight strap. I cannot wait, and I'm assuming you guys cannot either. So we are definitely going to start this off. I'm going to start it off with the XFL. I don't know if you guys tuned in. I remember before you guys said you really didn't. So I'm going to just start off with my opinions on the XFL as a whole, how I felt, and then I'm going to do rule changes. And then you guys, if you want to like chip in, just compare it to the NFL if you don't watch that much and see how you feel. I mean, to start with the XFL as a whole, this is my little rant that I'm going to go on, is to be completely honest with everybody, it's not terrible. I can't call it terrible by any means, but to sit here and call it good, I can't do either, because to like it's hard to cover up bad football. It just is at the end of the day. And I think everybody really knows that. Like, if you really think about it, college has always been the pipeline for the NFL and will continue to be. So you're really strumming into this like bottom second tier, high third tier players as starters in this league. So you definitely see that, but you also see players who very, very clearly see that this is their last chance to play football, and they've been pros before or have always wanted to be. So it's definitely interesting there where you see them you really see them kind of they're playing their lights out. They're playing their best. They really are. They're really trying to play as hard as they can and do what they can to stay in this league. But besides that, there's these rule changes. Now, there are a couple I like, there are a couple I don't like, and there are a couple I absolutely hate. To start with the one I like, it is the instant replay rules, the only one I like. Now, you guys have watched the NFL, and we know that instant replays with penalties and all that is very much an issue. So this rule has, when there is an instant replay going on by the referees, there's a camera in the replay center, the XFL replay center, wherever it is, and the head ref official who's watching the replay for the review to tell the refs what to do, Dean Blandino, is mic'd up and is literally just talking this out with his crew in the booth, but you hear it and you hear the reasoning behind the penalty. That I love, because that's great for people who don't know the game or hate the call. In live time, you are hearing an explanation, not after the fact when you're mad and you're not going to accept anything. It is live. Live, you are seeing a oh, there we go. Finally got the focus for you guys watching the live stream. There we go. Sorry to take that note out of there. But yeah, the replay center, I really like that. Now the changes that I don't like, but I don't hate, are the OT rules. Now the OT rules are more like college. If you guys have ever watched college football compared to the NFL, where it's each team gets a possession from. In the XFL, if I remember correctly, when I read the rule book last night, it's each team gets a possession from, I think it's like the 5 or the 10. And you have to score in that possession or the defense got to get a stop. You keep going back and forth team to team, which is exciting. I wish it went more college, where college is the same thing. It's just further back. They're at like the 25. Easier to get a stop that way. That's why I like that. I think it's different to compete to the NFL. I don't think the NFL should necessarily adopt that rule. But I do think it's something that's definitely interesting. And then another rule that I really like that I think only football connoisseurs will really know what this rule could entail and mean is you are allowed 2 forward passes per possession in the XFL. So there's no like that double forward pass rule on like lateral plays and stuff like that, which I really like. My whole thing with this is depending on how it goes, I didn't see it in the rule book, so I don't know if this exists. I feel like it should have to be within a certain distance. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to someone about it earlier today, and like I think both of you guys would agree on this. Like it's a little unfair if I could go, all right, yo, you run 50 yards downfield, I'm chucking it up to you, while the receiver on the other side's running 100 yards downfield. You're catching it, just spotting it up and chucking it again. Like,
I don't think that makes sense.
so you know what I mean? Like it has. So the
too.
rule. That's what I mean. So the rule probably. I just didn't see it. It has to be like within 5, like 2 yards, like within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. If you could, you know. So that I don't hate. I don't hate those 2 rules. Now these are the 3 changes I don't like because to me this just seems like they're trying to take kicking out of the game, which is really weird, right? So you get this. First of all, in the 4th, this is the exact rule, and I think it's very specific, which is also why I don't like the rule. In the 4th quarter, if you are the team that is trailing, instead of doing an onside kick, you can try to convert a 4th and 15. And if you don't convert, I think it's from like your own like 25. And if you don't convert, the other team gets the ball from spot.
Yeah.
But if you do convert, it's like converting a 4th and 15. This is my opinion on that. I don't necessarily like hate that. To me, it just seems inconsistent because it's like, all right, through quarters 1 through 3, I have to onside kick it. But then in the 4th quarter, only if I'm losing can I pull out this rabbit out of my hat where I can, like, you know what I mean?
I feel like that adds too much uncertainty.
That's what I'm saying. It's too inconsistent. Like either commit to that 4th and 15 being able to happen or just do onside kicks. That's how I feel about that. Also, there's no extra points, like kicking wise. The way they do it is either go for 1 at your 5, 2 at your 10, or 3 at your 15 or 20, which I also don't like at all. Because I feel like with these rules, now we're getting into the territory where it's like, it's almost like Canadian football, if you guys know what I'm saying, where it's not like the NFL anymore. Like the rules are almost too different. Where this like at first everyone was like, oh, the XFL is going to be this new like the G League. Like you're a big basketball fan, you said like there's going to be this new like G League coming up. But like I said, like I feel like there are too many rules here that kind of throw it off and really
They definitely are. I feel
really
like it just
make it too different.
Yeah.
Like there's also this thing on kickoffs. You guys have watched an NFL game. You know how kickoffs are set up. So instead of that, they have it set up where the kicker's usually on like his own 45 like usual. The returner's like returning like usual. But the rest of the kickoff and kickoff return team, because a lot of experts have said kickoffs cause a lot of concussions. Like those, they put them 5 yards apart at like 40 and 45 of like the returning team side. And it just looks weird. Like you do stuff like that and you throw off the game and look of the game. That's what I mean. Like you just think about it and it just throws it off and it doesn't even make it look like the football product you know. So to compare it to the NFL, I feel like is almost hard to do, which I don't know. Now, I could sit here and argue that could be a success for the XFL because maybe that's why they failed in the past when they did this back in 2018 and the USFL and all those other football leagues popped up out of nowhere. Maybe it's we have to be different from the NFL because we know we're putting out a worse football product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, from what you're telling me, it sounds like they're trying to be unique because they understand they don't have the same caliber of players.
Yeah,
NFL, so
yeah.
trying to give a little
That's
fun
exactly what
spin.
I'm saying. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. So maybe what I'm not liking was their goal. And I'm just, since I'm a football purist, I'm an old grumpy man about it. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the XFL. To sum up some scores, I mean, I didn't really watch it. The Vegas Vipers beat the Arlington Renegades 22-20. The Vegas Vipers, for people who have watched the NFL before, they got Martavis Bryant. I know that's a name some people might recognize. He used to be on the Steelers. They also have Brett Hundley at quarterback, who's an old NFL quarterback. Arlington has Marquette King, the greatest punter of all time, in my opinion, not named Pat McAfee, because just when it comes to a punter and stuff like that, I feel you need entertainment factor when you're a special teams player. Both of them had it. I hated when he left the league. Happy to see him back playing football. So that's that. The Orlando Guardians get absolutely walloped by the Houston Roughnecks, 33-12. Sounds so weird saying like these new team names. I feel like I'm talking like about like a made-up league.
Sport.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm talking about like Germany.
Like fantasy.
Yeah, like fantasy. Like I feel like this is like my Madden league where we all created a team, bro. But you got that where Orlando had quarterback Paxton Lynch. I don't know if you guys know who Paxton Lynch is, but Paxton Lynch got drafted in the NFL. He played in college, played in Memphis, and when he got drafted, right? He got drafted. I think it was 32 overall to Denver. Was supposed to be this stud. This man is so terrible. I saw a stat this weekend. He is the first quarterback ever to be benched in 4 professional football leagues, like mid-game. He has now been benched in the XFL, the USFL, the CFL, and the NFL. That is, to me, that is the craziest thing in the world.
That is crazy.
Like Paxton Lynch, I'm sorry, maybe you should find a different career. Like I hate to break it to you, you're an athletic dude, and I'm gonna be honest. You made the NFL. You are better at the position of quarterback than I will ever be. I will be the first one to admit it. I can't be an NFL quarterback, but clearly you can't be either. So maybe we rethink this. All right. That's just my mention to you, Paxton. If somehow, some way you stumble across this small little show out of a college in New York, my recommendation as a hater is, you're a smart dude. You went to Memphis. You graduated college, bro. Use your degree. Go get a job, whatever your degree is, and go make some money. Come on, man. But we got the St. Louis Battlehawks. They came back. I saw this all over Instagram and beat the San Antonio Brahmas. That is the most Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson name for a team. I've just had to get this out since this team name was announced. Like that name was announced, and the first thing I thought was The Rock owns this league.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about it. I don't know. But they come back with quarterback A.J. McCarron. He beats quarterback Jack Cohn is the starting quarterback of that team. A.J. McCarron, I don't know. You guys, like you said, you weren't big football fans, but this man, I respect him. Played for Alabama, so obviously won a bunch of national championships. Never really got his chance in the league. I feel like he has a little bit of talent. And then the Seattle Dragons lose to the DC Defenders. Seattle Dragons got Ben DiNucci at quarterback. And then they also, even if you guys aren't big football fans, I assume you know this name, they also got Josh Gordon, which is dope as hell. So Josh Gordon, they got him, but they end up losing to the DC Defenders, who for you college football fans, some notable names they got both De'Aaron King and Jordan Ta'amu, who were both college studs a couple years ago. But shout out to the DC Defenders having the greatest fan base in all of sports. You guys probably didn't see this. Ready to hear this story? All right. DC Defenders started a tradition, even though the XFL has been around for only one other year. Apparently this was a tradition. That at every home game, they make a beer snake. You guys know what beer snakes are out of the cups.
Oh, I know what you're
right?
I do know what you're talking about.
So this weekend they make a gigantic beer snake, and the security of the stadium did not like the beer snake, so they took the beer snake. The drinks that these cups were coming from were these beers with lemons in it. So the fans got mad. All of a sudden, in the DC Defenders game, it was raining lemons on the field. The energy in that stadium is uncompared to anything I've seen at an NFL game outside of like Buffalo. So shout out to those fans for DC Defenders. That's a fan base I respect. I'm going to go on record now and say, sadly, even though I'm talking highly of the DC team, I'm a fan of the team that they lost to. I'm going to be a Seattle Sea Dragons fan if this league continues. So whatever they are, go Sea Dragons, whatever it is, whatever their chant is.
I can't
These
come up
names
with
are
the name.
Uh,
It's not like-
Ride Sea Dragons, ride, you know. But yeah, that's all we got for the XFL. That's that. That was, you know, the XFL is going to be what it is. I hope it succeeds. In all honesty, I do. I like that there's something in the spring for football fans. Like that is something new, and that is something in itself. It's just, it's hard when you don't have the talent. And you're calling
you have to
yourself a
find that
prof-
good middle of
Yeah.
football and then having a unique spin on it.
Exactly.
People
Like
still
you're
wanna
sitting
watch
here,
it.
you're calling yourself a professional league, and you don't really have professional players out there. That's definitely the hardest part. But now on to the pros, on to the real pros. I'm going to talk about the NFL a little bit. And as I said, the tag window opened today. Now I'm going to ask you guys for this just so I know to throw it to you, even though I know you guys aren't big football team fans. Are you guys Giants fans? What are we in here?
Honestly,
If you had to choose, if
if I really had to choose, I'm an Eagles fan probably.
I'm
Ooh.
Giants. I'm from New York.
All right. So that the Giants are in a big spot right now, in case you don't know, because obviously with the tag window comes the biggest news, which is Lamar Jackson.
Mhm.
Lamar Jackson has yet to sign an extension. What is going to happen with Lamar? Nobody knows. What will happen with Lamar is a huge question, right? Because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And really, I don't know. Obviously, you guys are sitting here nodding, knowing who Lamar Jackson is. Both of you heavily prefaced to me before I went live that you guys are not football fans. So I think you guys just knowing his importance alone proves that he's a very important player, especially to this Ravens offense. He's the heart and soul of this Ravens offense. The Ravens have no receivers. The only other weapon they really have is J.K. Dobbins, who is injury prone. He seems to get injured every year. They got no receivers. You lose Lamar, I can argue this is a bottom 10, bottom 5 offense in the league. Like this offense is bad without Lamar Jackson. So you can't let him leave. In my opinion, like it's just that simple. I don't think I could go on much of a rant about what's going on there because like my rant is this simple. Baltimore, you're stupid. Lamar Jackson, pay him the franchise. Like this man, I understand that yes, his style is a little unorthodox and he could get injured, but what this man has been able to do in his short career is nothing but absolute greatness. And what he did this year before he got injured was game in and game out prove to your franchise that you should be paying him that Pat Mahomes type deal and give him $500 million for no reason at all. Yes, he's not Pat Mahomes. I will compare nobody to Pat Mahomes. If you guys watched last week and saw my rant about how great Mahomes is Mahomes. But Lamar has taken this league by absolute storm, and you have to give him his money. He should be the highest paid quarterback. He should be the highest paid player come this time. He should not get tagged at all. And if I'm Lamar and I get tagged, I want out. It's that simple. It is that simple. If you have to tag me and you're like, we have to talk about this for another year. Because if I'm the Ravens, I'm handing Lamar a blank check, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm handing that dude a blank check. But with that, besides Lamar Jackson, the Giants have a huge decision to make. You got 2 big free agents for you Giants fan that might not know this. Both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are up this year, it's rough. Now, the question is, will Daniel Jones be back? That's the question. And I think a lot of that definitely relies on does the Saquon extension get done? Because if the Saquon extension doesn't get done and he gets tagged, you don't have a tag for Daniel Jones. Therefore, that extension gets a lot harder because especially after this year, Daniel Jones might feel that his value is a little higher than it might be. So you definitely get in a lot of a choppy situation if you're the Giants. I feel like main priority has to be Saquon, obviously. He's the best. Like Lamar, he's the heart and soul of that Giants offense. I remember I said a stat earlier this year when I gave him comeback as player of the year, when I gave him my award for that. The Giants, I think, were like 1-5 or something along those lines when Saquon had under like 65 yards or something like that. So he's clearly big for their team. I think he has to be priority number one. Some other big names across the league we could see getting tagged where it's not a dilemma one or the other. It's just do they get the extension done? Geno Smith, how much will he be worth after this year is a big question. You know, a lot of people wrote him off. Geno ain't right back. And Geno came. He actually won comeback player of the year. Geno Smith, I've been a huge fan of since his days at West Virginia, since his failure with the Jets. It's happy to see him succeed. I hope he gets a ton of money. Orlando Brown in Kansas City. You need tackles to protect your quarterback, especially Pat Mahomes. So what's going to happen there? And then also the other big two I'd say are Jordan Poyer and Josh Jacobs are two names definitely look out for getting tagged, especially Poyer. If Poyer's extension doesn't get done, I could definitely see him getting tagged. He's just a premier safety. Safety is a huge part of your defense. He's been a huge part of that Bills defense that even casual football fans like you guys probably know that Bills defense has been absolutely dominant over the past 2-3 years. So definitely huge there. Some other news across the league. This I'm kind of just going to run through because it's coaching hires for those of you interested. We got a rumor in Denver that Rex Ryan might be up for that defensive coordinator job. And Rex Ryan in the league just makes the league better. If any of you have seen those clips from Hard Knocks with him yelling at his team and then immediately going, all right, now it's snack time and all this, and absolute clown. He's an absolute makes the league better. He just has clips and has sayings that he's a great coach, but also has these sayings where it's just like, what did Rex Ryan just say? Like, can someone check that? Like, did he just? So I don't know. I'm hoping he gets this job. Colts just hired an offensive coordinator with, I just have to say this, 100% the best name now in all of football. Jim Bob Scooter is now, yes, that's his real name. His real name is Jim Bob Scooter. I love this man. I read his name online, and I'm low-key a Colts fan now because their offensive coordinator is Jim Bob Scooter. Like, bro, I feel like I made that up on like GTA. Like I feel like that was a joke name I made with my friends. But no offense to you, Mr. Scooter, Mr. Jim Bob. A lot of respect. Last time he was an offensive coordinator was in Detroit in 2018. Been a consultant in Philly the past couple of years. They've been great. And Jacksonville, who had a great year last year. So, I mean, I don't know much about him. I don't know if he deserves a job or doesn't, but based off that name, I would have hired him in a heartbeat. So shout out to you, Jim Irsay, for finding Jim Bob and getting him back in that Colts building after he was there a while back. Jonathan Gannon, the Philly DC, who is now the head coach in Arizona, he hires Browns quarterback coach Drew Petzing as an OC and then brings his linebacker coach from Philly and Nick Rollis over as DC. So his coaching staff is building up. The Browns quarterback coach is definitely an interesting hire. From my opinion, I know you guys obviously don't know this deep. You guys are casual fans. Not trying to say that. That kind of sounded rude. Not trying to like
right.
that like sounded like a slight. I didn't mean it that way. But yeah, I don't know. The Browns quarterback room has definitely been struggling over the past couple of years. So seeing their quarterback coach then get hired for an OC job, I don't know. I don't know much about the dude. I say the biggest news in coaching was over the weekend. Eric Bieniemy left Kansas City for Washington. And now, for you guys who really are casual fans, to kind of explain to you, Eric, why this is big news, Eric Bieniemy has been the offensive coordinator for this whole Chiefs dynasty. Since Mahomes has been a starter, Eric Bieniemy he hasn't called the plays, I will say that. Being a play caller is the most important part. Andy Reid does call the plays. But Bieniemy has been there for a while, has passed up at a lot of head coaching jobs, and then took an OC job in Washington, which I found very interesting. It wasn't a promotion. Like, he's still an offensive coordinator. I'm assuming he went there because he gets to call plays now. But this could prove a huge – I could argue that this loss for Pat Mahomes is more major than Tyreek Hill last year. Because, yes, coaches don't play, but Eric Bieniemy, his offense and his schemes are easily top tier in the league. To see what this Chiefs offense does next season will be very interesting. I don't know if they've replaced him yet. I do know that they will probably hire in-house, and it will probably be someone who will work. But will he be Eric Bieniemy's level? I don't know. Eric Bieniemy is definitely hard to touch. So that is definitely something to pay attention to and remember going into this whole offseason, this whole draft. And also a couple other news in the NFL just before I leave it off. We got what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. In case you guys don't know, Aaron Rodgers obviously has this whole dilemma with the Packers. I'm sure you heard that in the news, whether you don't know if he's coming back or not. But also a big thing is this weekend, I don't know if he came out yet, but he went on this thing called the Darkness Retreat, which I've talked about multiple times on this show with my friends. And what that is he lived, I believe it was 48 hours in a room, complete darkness, nothing, no phone, no lights, nothing. Now, from what I've heard, there are like light switches in the room, like in case like you literally are going crazy and like you're like, I need to see.
Yeah.
So he has the option. You could go like on and off, but he said he's trying to commit to it the whole time. And he was like, when I come out, hopefully I'll have my decision. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is crazy for you guys not knowing the NFL. He also took this one drug called ayahuasca over the offseason just because he wanted to. He does a lot of things. Aaron Rodgers, for you as a basketball fan, he's Kyrie Irving pretty much, but less problematic towards the team. You know what I mean? Like his problem, he's not as problematic towards the team. He definitely is. Like, it definitely causes stuff in the Packers where they're like, what the hell is Aaron doing? But it's not like, okay, Aaron, you got it. We got to trade you because of what you're saying, bro. Like, you got to but yeah, speaking of basketball and Kyrie, All-Star Weekend was this weekend, and I got thoughts of the whole thing. So we're going to start with this. Let's start with Saturday night. We talked a little bit about it. My boy Max McClung, my boy, that had the backboard dunk, dunked over two people. What was the other one he had? That was crazy. Oh, the 720 to end it.
The 720.
The 720 was crazy. That was crazy. By the way, Karl Malone, in case you guys don't know the whole thing about Karl Malone, the fact that the NBA puts him out there is absolutely disgusting. Do not support Karl Malone. I'm not going to say why on my show because I'm on air. I like to keep it PG here. But if you don't know, look it up. What happened to Karl Malone in college? Karl Malone should not have been involved in All-Star Weekend, and the NBA really screwed up with that. I know the NBA goes, well, if he's not, it brings more attention to that story. It should. Everybody should know what Karl Malone did. But besides that, he was the worst judge in the dunk contest too, so it helped me get mad at him because he was incredibly inconsistent. There was one dunk that should have been a 50. He gave like a 46. And then one dunk that should have been like a 43. He gave a 49. And I was like, I don't know what you're looking at. But Max McClung, shout out to him. He was G League Rookie of the Year. First ever G League player to be in the contest, obviously. This is something I found dope. I don't know if you guys heard Kevin Harlan say this on air. He was signed to a two-way contract with the Sixers that week.
As he should.
Like, he was only in the G League until the week of the dunk contest.
That's actually
So shout out to Max McClung. But also, I will say this. No offense to Max McClung. I have the argument here that as dope as that whole Max McClung thing was, as athletic as he is, Max McClung, no offense, shouldn't have the opportunity to do it. Because the dunk contest, and you say you're a big basketball fan, the dunk contest this year, let's say hypothetically no injuries too, because I know someone I'm going to say is injured right now. Ja, Zion, Donovan Mitchell, and like and there's so many, like, you know what I mean? Like, why are the stars not in it anymore?
Honestly, I asked myself the same question too, because I feel like you said before, like, obviously we all know that was a phenomenal, like, that's gonna go down in history.
Oh, yeah.
But
But
at the
it's-
same time,
but it's gonna go down in history. But like that's my thing is every other dunk contest that went down in history, like go back to 2016, Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine. They go
Yeah,
down in history because it's Jordan versus Clyde. Like it's the two people went off. It's two people went off because it was competitive. It wasn't, oh my God, this one dude just blew everyone out of
that's
the
what I'm
water.
saying. I feel like that's just unrealistic at the same time too. And for him to, like I said, it's a great phenomenon. Like
The
shout out
big
to
thing is,
LeBron.
I think, add an incentive. Say, bro, winner of the dunk contest gets a mil. Realistically, what's $1 million to the NBA? Winner of the dunk contest gets a mil, bro. You see I swear, you'd see every head in it. You'd see every head in it. And I know it shouldn't be money based, but with little stuff like that, make it money. Add the incentive to get the stars to do it. I was complaining the same thing, even as a big football fan, about the Pro Bowl and how I liked how they did flag football and they added money incentives this year to make the stars go because the product was like, make the product better. And the dunk contest was a big thing. You see, the NFL is doing this best catch competition now. They're trying to compete with the dunk contest, with their all like find a way to get, even if it's not all the stars, get people on the, because Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, for example, when they competed, they were known, they were very well-known players, but they weren't stars yet. You know what I mean? They both were very young in their career. Zach was still on the Timberwolves, but still, they were a lot more level of the talent than Max McClung, Jericho Sims, and the other two who, you know what I mean? Like it was Troy Brown Jr. and I can't remember the fourth person. But so like that is my big thing is improve the talent a little bit. Like even with the 3-point contest, you always see talent show up for it. So you saw Dame win it this year. Halliburton had a great first round. You watched it. He put up like 31.
Oh, no, I did.
Yeah. Halliburton had a great first round. Lillard ends up winning it, who I was rooting for because obviously Damian Lillard is
Can't compete with Dame.
Bro, and I think he might be like honestly, he's one of the most underrated players like of our
100%, bro. I've been a big Dame fan for like a while.
I was really upset when they finally split him and CJ up.
Yeah.
Because that could have
Yeah,
worked.
just messed
They
up their
needed
whole
one more
chemistry, bro.
piece.
Literally.
They needed one more piece, bro. They needed one more, like they got like a okay, like I know they tried to do it with Melo, but if they got like I'm trying to think of someone. Like, bro, when Ben Simmons was available, if they traded for like a Ben Simmons, those three, oh my God, that would have been nasty. Like that actually would have been dirty.
I'm iffy about Ben Simmons, but
I was about to
No,
say,
because I'm saying no. I'm using Ben Simmons specifically because I think if you think about it, right, Ben Simmons gets traded. I think he fits better in Portland than he did in Brooklyn at that time.
honestly, I feel like it's all about team chemistry at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, and that's why I said Ben Simmons. Like that's why he came to mind because he's not that good. I will agree with that. But I feel like you think about it, the way Dame and CJ 2-piece played. All they needed was a playmaking forward. They needed someone who got rebounds and passed the ball. They didn't need a scorer. You know what I mean? They needed someone who found Dame, found CJ, got a board and kicked it out, like did that type of stuff. But yeah, Lillard does good. Did you watch the game too? The All-Star game?
The All-Star, I watched
on
a
Sunday.
little bit of
All
it
right.
on Sunday. I didn't have the time to watch
So my thought on the All-Star game, I really liked the pregame draft format. That was dope. I really liked how they did that. I've been liking the draft format over the past couple of years. If you guys have been watching the All-Star game, how they do like the draft the team.
No.
I really liked how they did it this year where it was like, nah, we really in the backyard. Like y'all, like we picking you straight up right before the game and we warming up and balling. Like it's straight that. Now, one thing that was funny was if you didn't watch the draft, they drafted the reserves first and then the starters. Ja was a starter, right? Ja's a starter. And they're picking the reserves. And Giannis picks Damian Lillard first overall. Who did LeBron pick? I think LeBron picked Tyrese Halliburton or someone like that, right? And then they're picking only reserves. And Giannis goes in the mic, does his whole promo. He goes, I'm picking someone who's been the best, who's been top of the game, been dunking on everyone. I'm picking Ja Morant. And everyone's just like, what? Like, you can't pick him yet, bro. And literally, Ernie Johnson, like, you've watched TNT. Ernie Johnson just goes, Giannis, he's a starter. He can't do that yet. And then literally the whole stadium started laughing. LeBron's on stage cracking up as soon as he said Ja. Like LeBron started crying, laughing. Oh, it was mad. So like,
I feel like Giannis is the type of player to do something like that.
Giannis is a clown, bro. Giannis in the media is great, bro. If you guys want to scroll through Giannis's Twitter for an hour, you'll get at least 10 laughs. Like, bro, Giannis just has a good time. And that's like he's one of those players, you know what I mean? That like even if like hypothetically you're like a Cavs fan and your rival is Milwaukee, how you hate Giannis?
You can.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a Knicks fan, bro. I hate Trae Young because Trae Young has an attitude to him, and he beat my Knicks in the playoffs. I was there when he did, or no, I was there in the game where we beat him. But yeah. But like all the Trae Young chants, all that. Like we hate Trae Young around here. If that was Giannis doing that to us, I would have walked out that stadium and been like, but it's Giannis though. Like,
I remember. I know we all definitely remember. 2 playoffs ago, I believe it was.
Which
when
was
he
last
was,
year? Was it last year?
Oh, was it last?
Or 2 years ago?
which one?
Was it last year or 2 years
With
ago?
the Bucks.
Where they won?
Yeah, kicked the Nets out.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That was two-
where they beat
but I
KD. That's 2
remember
years ago.
When he was doing his free throws and everybody was clowning him because of how slow he did them. Like, even
Oh
during that,
yeah,
like,
I'm not
I'm
gonna
just
lie.
like, you can't even, huh?
When the Nets lost, I was mad at KD. I wasn't even mad at the Bucks.
Bro.
I was mad at KD.
bro.
honestly.
With that whole Nets thing, the Nets are in an interesting spot right now because you think about this whole KD and Kyrie stuff. What you said,
Yeah.
I said this to someone. One shoe size, right? One shoe size smaller. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden are still on that team. You
Oh,
can
sure.
argue because if they ready. They
won
force
5.
game 7. Right. They force game 7 right there. They have momentum of forcing game 7 off a step back game winner by KD, which would have been arguably the greatest shot I've ever seen in my entire life.
If you were just a tad,
Yeah,
just a
like
tad
literally,
smaller.
still with it being a 2 and forcing overtime was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen. Right? Like, bro, it's crazy. And now you're sitting here, and the Nets, they're in the playoffs technically, but you got Spencer Dinwiddie as your best player. Like, a lot of people are just expecting you to slowly fall out of the playoffs. You're in a very interesting spot. Their next 3, they got Chicago on Friday, or their next 4, because they got Chicago on Friday, they got Atlanta on Sunday, they got Milwaukee on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday they play the Knicks.
I
So
did not expect them to be this good after the trades.
that's
I
the
thought they
thing.
destroyed
I
the
think
franchise.
this Nets team reminds me of the Nets team right before they signed KD. You guys remember that team with
I
Spencer
definitely do.
with Spencer Dinwiddie? They had like Jeremy Lin coming off the bench.
Nah, but Dinwiddie's better.
Oh no,
now.
they had D'Lo. Remember they had D'Lo before they
Yeah,
traded him.
Yeah.
Like remember that
Yeah,
Nets
D'Lo
team.
sure really had me.
This Nets team gives me that same energy. You know what I mean? Where they're like,
I feel
oh,
better,
you think we done?
Exactly.
You think because
I feel like the
Kyrie and
Nets
KD
always
out,
have,
you
like,
done?
a perfect comeback.
Like I like that. I like their energy down there. I hated the Nets with Kyrie and KD because as a Knicks fan, I thought they were coming to Madison Square Garden. They didn't. Looking back at it, I don't care. But this is a Nets team that I'm going to learn to definitely respect throughout the year, especially if they squeeze into the playoffs. Now back to the Knicks because that's what I like talking about. So we're going back to the Knicks, folks. They get their next 4. Obviously, like I said, they got the Nets at the end of this 3. They got Washington on Friday, New Orleans on Saturday, so back to back straight off the All-Star break. Boston on Monday, and then Brooklyn on Wednesday. So not a great stretch here for the Knicks. Definitely a little difficult here. Definitely a little difficult. Washington been pretty solid this year. New Orleans definitely been solid this year, but Zion's injured. And then Boston. Boston's Boston. But the Knicks right now, they're sitting at 7. Now, I haven't really been able to talk to you, and you've been a big basketball fan, so I'm looking at you specifically for this.
All right,
to help me
let's
out
see if I
here.
can impart a little bit of
Knicks are at 7. They just traded this whole Josh Hart trade. You think they could get home court advantage? Because that's what I'm hoping for the Knicks.
Honestly, after the Josh
I think
Hart
they could
trade-
get. Wait,
I think it's still no.
I think
I
a 4
it's still
seed is
bro.
possible, right?
I think it definitely is possible because at the end of the day, it's all down to chemistry, like I said before. Because even though obviously we don't have Josh Hart anymore, I feel like if the Knicks really do come together, obviously we have Randall now.
We got Randall. We got
Starks,
Brunson.
Brunson,
We got
Randall and Brunson.
we got Josh Hart. If RJ Barrett can wake up and stop,
And
yeah, and play basketball,
Play ball,
and
you know
RJ
what I'm
Barrett
saying?
feels like doing what we paid him to do. Like we could. I honestly
It's all
feel
about chemistry. 'cause
this is my
honestly-
big thing with the Knicks too. I honestly feel, and I don't know because again I haven't watched the season, so you could completely shut me down if I sound like an absolute idiot right here. If the Knicks get a home court advantage, they could win a playoff series, depending on the opponent.
Playoff series.
Depending on the opponent.
A lot.
Because ready,
depends on
yo,
the
ready. I look at the
That's a
Eastern
tough
Conference
question.
standings, right? I think I was gonna say, all right. I don't know. It depends on how good he is because he's old, but I could argue the Knicks beat Miami in 7 games with home court advantage. I'm saying with home court advantage. That's the big thing.
With home court advantage, like I said, I think this
Now I
next
will
season
say
we
they
have
did
now-
just add K Love, which makes it a lot shakier. But K Love is old, so I don't really know.
it could-
Maybe
it
with
could
like
honestly
4-3,
go, I don't
they
know.
come out.
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying they sweep. I'm not
Oh,
saying
okay.
they
Oh, no, I don't
wash
think the
them.
Knicks could- don't
But I
the Knicks
think
could
it's a
do it.
winnable series. Like I think they could win that in like 6 or 7. I think it could go either way in like 6 or 7. But I think it's, you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I think it's definitely.
I think if they end up at 4 and like Cleveland's 5, there's not winning this series. They're not beating Cleveland in 7 games. But I think if you end up on like if you get like Brooklyn, Miami, if they get Atlanta again, I will not let either of you sit on my show and say that we will lose to Atlanta. I will reach over and shut your mics off right now if you were about to tell me that we will lose to Atlanta in a 7-game series. That ain't happening because you just heard me go on a whole rant about Trae Young. Trae Young, if he walks back in the city, I will be back in MSG because he knows I'll be there. I don't care that I was in the top row. He knows I was there. He knows I was there. Trae Young, if you ever come back to my city, I will be waiting for you, you dirty lollipop.
Lollipop is crazy.
My God.
Oh, now you gotta get his hairline checked.
Yeah, now you guys know how I feel about Trae Young. Other news in the NBA, though, we got Russ. That was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Him signing with the
That-
Clippers
yeah,
is
that
big.
Russ trade was unexpected,
Now,
yo.
his stats so far this season, just to put it in perspective for everyone, in 52 games so far with the Lakers, he's averaging 15.9 points, 7.5 assists, 6.2 rebounds on 41% shooting from the field. And all right, now I stop there, and you're like, yo, Russ has been playing kind of good this year, right? He's shooting 29% from 3, which is absolutely
And he
atrocious.
keeps on chucking. I keep on seeing him shoot threes.
He constantly tries to shoot.
Shooting
but he-
29% from 3 is terrible.
literally,
Like
you're making
I
less than half
like
your
I'm
shot.
telling you, bro, like the reason I said it that way was because when I read this stat line off Basketball Reference last night or 2 days ago when I was writing this paper, I was gonna stop it at field goal percentage. And I look at it, I go, yo, Russ is like low-key balling off the bench this year. Like he's kind of, and then I was like, no, there's got to be something. And I go, what's his 3-point field goal percentage? And
29%.
literally
Crazy.
crazy.
Is that the
Crazy.
lowest right now?
I don't. That I
I
didn't
would-
check. It's
I
probably.
wouldn't be surprised. I don't think.
All
it's
right,
the
no, yeah,
lowest,
if it's
but-
definitely not the lowest in the league. I could see it being lowest among like point guards or something like that. Like I would have to check those specific splits. But yeah, but it's
Regardless,
definitely
29
down
is
there.
crazy,
But no,
especially
yeah,
for
that's what I'm
Russ.
saying. Him on the Clippers, regardless of that 29% shooting, like yes, the Clippers are sitting at what? I think they're 6th right now in the West. But you're looking at Kawhi and Paul George, and then Russ. And then if Russ is possibly your bench starter and not even your starting point
He's
guard.
most likely going to be a bench starter, like the way I'm seeing it, because he hasn't like we just spoke about. He hasn't been playing at his best. for a
But
while.
still, like
Yeah, for a minute.
that's still a great addition for that Clippers team. That
Oh,
I
no,
think
like-
that I think that one thing they were lacking was depth, and I think if the Clippers are going to take advantage at any season, any year, it's a year where everybody else in the West playoffs right now, outside of the Warriors who are in the play-in, are young teams. Like you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you're sitting at the West right now. You got the Nuggets at 1, the Grizzlies at 2, the Kings at 3, the Suns at 4, the Mavs at 5.
No, but the Suns.
Clippers, Pelicans, and then the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
The only other team that I say has deep playoff experience like the Clippers would be the Suns. But like Chris Paul really hasn't won anything. Devin Booker went on one playoff run, and KD hasn't won anything by himself either. No offense to KD. I'm not taking away any greatness from KD. KD's the second greatest player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. I've never watched Michael Jordan play. I will say that. Actually, wait, I take that back. He's the 3rd greatest player I've seen with my 2 eyes. Kobe Bryant. I had to.
Of course.
I have to play Kobe. It goes LeBron, Kobe, then Kevin. But yes, Kevin Top 3 player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. He's absolutely insane. But winning is a thing, and he's not done it by himself.
Yeah.
He did it with a Warriors team that proved both before and after him, we can do it without you, Kevin.
I'd say the last time I've seen Kevin Durant show that a team needs him is probably back when he was on the Thunder. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Thunder was-
completely
That's when I
agree.
think when he's back on the That's prime. KD.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. These past couple seasons
Oh, no, he's
with
definitely been
the
playing
Nets,
great.
with the Nets, it's definitely been KD off the court and on the court has been 2 completely different Nets teams.
That is true. That's
But-
definitely true.
Like, I don't know. Like, even with the standings I just said in the West, like, I could argue the Warriors right now. We're in a play-in. They're sitting at 9. Even if they end the season at 9, I'm scared they're going to go on a run because of how young the West is. You know what I mean?
No,
Because that's a big thing when it comes to playoff time. And it's a bigger thing in basketball than it definitely is in football. Because football, it's one game. Every dog has his day. It's a thing. And I say that all the time when it comes to playoff games. Basketball, the better team always ends up winning, and the more experience, because you know what it takes to grind out a 7-game series if you need to. You know what it takes to sit there and you know that game 5 is the game and stuff like that. And these younger teams don't always know that. So I don't know. I think it's very interesting to me this year because I feel like the East is more. A lot of these teams I've seen make the playoffs and have players that have been in the playoffs before, while the West really hasn't had teams that have gone deep. Like the Nuggets, I don't think have gone. I think the Nuggets made 1 Western Conference Finals, and that was the bubble year. Besides that, they haven't made one. Grizzlies, they haven't gone anywhere yet. Kings have yet to prove. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Kings.
Do you think that's a problem with how, I guess, there's a lot of young talent now? You think it's a problem with the players or the problems with the actual teams about focusing about, I guess?
I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem at all. Like I think using the word problem would be weird because I think the NBA right now is where, for me as a comparison, I'm going to say it's where the NFL was 2 years ago, where Mahomes was just getting going and Lamar was just getting going. And it's the transitional period. You know what I mean? It's this weird period where the young guys aren't good enough yet, but they're almost there. And the old guys are on their way down. You know what I'm saying? Like the NFL is still, I would 100% still say completely there because this year in the NFL was very bad football. And like you're seeing that this year with basketball too. You're seeing very bad defense and a lot of high scoring games and stuff. Yeah. Like, so I wouldn't call it a problem as much as it just is like it's a transition. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, I get that.
But yeah, also, bro, you look at the West standings. A big thing for me is, and I want you to talk about this. What's going on with the Lakers? Now I know they just revamped the whole team. Their new starting lineup is D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Vanderbilt, Bron, and AD with Hachimura, Mo Bamba, Lonnie.
Honestly, that whole starting lineup and even that bench already looks amazing.
That's what I'm saying.
The Lakers have always. I've never really seen like a bad Lakers team recently. You know what I'm saying?
Like, this is going to be weird to say. As someone who most of my basketball knowledge from this season is from, like, the 2 months of 2K I've played for this year so far. Because, by the way, bro, if anybody is out there, this is a rant completely off topic. If anybody is out there still saying that NBA 2K is a good video game, please look yourself in the mirror and rethink your life decisions. And go pick up like God of War or like an actual.
I'd be playing 2K18 just because.
Bro,
Honestly,
actually,
the old 2K just hit different.
Bro, I bought 2K23 a month ago, and like
different.
it's so bad. It's so bad. It took me like 2 weeks to be able to make like a single shot in this game, and maybe I'm making myself sound terrible at the game, but the new shot meter is so dumb.
Yeah.
Why do I have to green it to make it?
Oh,
No, you literally have to green it to make it at this point.
Makes no sense. But yeah, like that to me, based off what I know from 2K, which I know isn't real basketball, obviously, that sounds like a good 10-man rotation right there.
Honestly,
Lonnie
like I
Walker's a
said,
bucket. Lonnie Walker's a bucket. Mo Bamba's a rebound machine. Roy Hachimura's a bucket. Malik Beasley's a bucket. D'Lo, like that's a lot of buckets.
Every single
You got a
name I
lot of
see there
scorers.
is like a star. Like,
And,
has the
bro,
potential to be a star player.
I was so upset when the Lakers got LeBron and D'Lo wasn't there because that was the whole matchup. Because, all right, this is going to be a weird thing to say. Before I got into basketball, I was a Kobe fan growing up. So I always called myself a Lakers fan. And then when I really got into basketball, I became a Knicks fan because New York, obviously. I'm from Jersey, whole area, what we got going. But with everything going on, like, I lost my train of thought. Oh, but like, I remember I always liked D'Lo growing up, and it just never really like I always wanted to see him and someone like LeBron play together when that whole trade happened, and it never really like happened. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that Lakers team could definitely squeeze in the playoffs, can't they?
Oh no, I think they definitely could. With that lineup, like I said, even the bench looks amazing. Like that could be a starting lineup in itself, I think.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely have playoff
No, yeah.
potential.
Post All-Star break, we definitely
And
got a
of course,
lot of
yeah,
interesting stuff going on in basketball. Moving on though, because we do not have that much time left. So I do want to go on a little rant here. I finally watched my first NFL game or NHL game last night. I watched the Islanders come back and beat the Penguins 4-2. Another comeback. They had a comeback on, I think it was Friday night against Pittsburgh too. Here are my notes. The Islanders goalie, Ila Sorkin, absolute certified dog. Dog. Sorkin's a dog. 44 saves on 46 shots. Some of the saves he was making were blowing me out of my mind from someone who's played a lot of chell and watched hockey, a lot of playoff hockey. My God. My favorite player, Matt Barzal, was injured, but the dude we just traded for, Bo Horvat, another certified dog. He had a goal. He had an assist. He was moving the puck around. He helped the Islanders get that comeback win. And my God, can I say hockey is fun to watch, man. I was telling them before, there was a play, end of the second period, right? Sorkin saves it, freezes the puck. So they're, right, Penguins player near the goalie. One of the Islanders player, get the hell out of the way from my goalie. Shoves him. Shove back. They start fighting, right? Nah. Everyone start fighting. All of a sudden, there's a 2v1. Someone got tackled. Then someone got up. The refs skate 2 Islanders players off the ice, right? This was the craziest part. None of the Penguins players get off. All of a sudden, there's like 2 Penguins players jumping Islanders. Like, they're literally getting jumped pretty much. I'm not lying. Like, it's 2v1s, 3v1s out here, bro. Brawl. Like, literally, it was an absolute brawl. And then as the brawl is going on, the MSG announcer for the Islanders goes, "This is why you have to have these teams play 3 times a year instead of 2. Who doesn't love this?" Hearing that sentence made me just fall in love with this sport and everything about it and everything it stands for. This man, bro, if the NFL, if all 11 players on the field just fought in the NFL, I think the NFL would cancel themselves for a week and try to figure out what happened. Like the same thing with the NBA had it happen. They had the Malice in the Palace. You didn't hear the announcer going, "Yeah, mess that fan up. Yeah, get him. Like, you didn't hear that. No, that's what we got in the NHL, apparently. We got 10-man brawls and the announcer going, "That is hockey." Like, that is so weird. Another thing I got to throw out, Rangers did end up losing last night. They lose 4-1 to the Jets at home. That's apparently a Jets team that can figure out how to win in New York. Not the New York Jets, though. But so they lose 4-1 to the Jets. And then the Devils, they play the Canadians tonight, I believe at home at 7 o'clock. If anybody wants to tune into that. And now, finally, I can't go as deep as I wanted to into this conversation, but this weekend is the weekend that we have all been waiting for if you are a UFC fan. Yes, we had last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the number 1 and number 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world in Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev fight and show off what the UFC is all about and a fight of the year candidate. And what we got on Saturday, I don't think will be a fight of the year candidate, because I think when we see my man John Jones walk into this octagon after 3 years, I did the math. February 8th, 2020 was the last time John Jones fought. It has been about 1,120 days since this man has stepped into an octagon for a bout. This man is coming with a vengeance. 26-1. His only loss is a DQ by 12-6 elbows, which if you're a UFC fan, you know that shouldn't be a DQ. But we'll go there later. He fights Cyril Gane. Oh my God, is this going to be a fight? I'm so excited. I think this is how it's going to go. I think we got John Jones winning, 3rd round knockout. I think first round, as UFC fights go, is a nice little test each other out. I think John Jones is going to look Cyril Gane in the eyes and go, "You think you're a good wrestler? I'm John Jones. I'm better." He's going to toy with him in the 2nd round, force Cyril Gane to stand up with him. And I don't think anybody in this heavyweight division that's not named Francis Ngannou is standing up with John Jones. And I definitely give Cyril Gane a chance. But if you got out wrestled by Francis Ngannou, you're going to look like you're on a twister board against John Jones. It is going to be, but I'm excited. Not only that, we have that heavyweight championship bout. We have a women's flyweight championship bout in Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, which it'll be an okay fight. I don't want to downplay the hype behind it, but Shevchenko's a beast. And I'm not one of those dudes who's going to discredit any female fighter. I've always been a big Amanda Nunes fan. Shevchenko's on a 9-fight win streak, and her only loss her last loss was to Amanda Nunes, who's arguably the greatest fighter, point blank period, of all time. So Shevchenko, no offense to Grasso, she's on a 4-fight win streak. She's young, she's good, she has potential, but it's kind of just a shark versus fish here. It's not going to really work. I got Shevchenko kind of dominating. Not only that, we got Jeff Neal versus Shaq Rahamat, which will be fun. Jeff Neal coming off a KO Vincent Luque, so that'll definitely be entertaining. We got Dana White's pretty boy Bo Nickel, who's 2-0 in the Contender Series, getting his first actual UFC fight against Jamie Pickett, who's on a current losing streak, but is easily Nickel's hardest opponent so far. And then the last fight on the undercard, which I usually would not mention, is actually Derek Brunson, oddly enough, who I would not expect to be fighting on an undercard. After fighting Jared Cannonier in his last fight where he lost, he got knocked out by Jared Cannonier. But that's Jared Cannonier, who's arguably going to go fight for a belt again after losing to Izzy and Pereira, now having the belt. Cannonier is a top 3 contender. So Brunson fighting this low on the card definitely seems weird to me. So definitely with that fight only being on ESPN Plus and being not on pay-per-view, if you're not a UFC fan, I definitely say tune in around 9:30 for that one. That one will definitely be a good fight. But yeah, that's really all I got for you guys today here on the Log Show, here on WSJU and on YouTube. I'm happy that this camera got working. We got this new production setup going for the Log Show here. We got Nick. We got Sean here on this episode. I'm happy. Thank you, everybody who listened. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We got a big week in sports. We got basketball coming back. Hockey, I recommend everybody watch, especially after that 10-man scrum. We got UFC, a huge fight. So definitely, everybody, please have a good weekend. Have a good week. Stay safe. Next week, spring break, I won't be on the radio. I may be live here on YouTube for you guys if you do want to check in. So definitely check in if you can. Thank you all and have a great day. So yeah, just turn your off.
We're supposed to hear ourselves. I did not hear anything. It feels bad.
Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Okay, because they were not working the whole time.
Shawty jumps in on my lap. Hey, peace.